So we've been working on the FJ Cruiser, and today we want to tackle a couple of aesthetic things going on here in the front of the FJ. Now, in a previous video, we restored the headlights, and in today's video, what I want to do is I want to tackle the grille bezel. We are going to turn this silver grille bezel to black and just make it kind of pop. I'm also going to do something with this little trim piece up here, which I don't think that I've seen anyone do, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't been done before. Now, in order to paint this grille bezel, we need to remove it. And I'll show you how to do that here from another video that we did. Now, in order to get that fun little trim piece off of the hood, if you look right here, there is this little black trim piece, this little molding that goes right in front of the hood. It is super simple. There's just a bunch of little nuts that you have to take off from these screws. And then once you get that final screw right there taken off, it just lifts right off very simply. So here's the underside of the trim piece, and of course I say it is easily removable, but there are a couple of clips that I kind of forgot about, and this little piece goes here on the end to help with the attachment. So what I'm going to do first, before I even prep anything on this guy, is I'm going to take out all these little metal screw inserts, and they just slide out pretty easily, and then I'm going to just put those with my bucket of screws and bolts. So we did have a little accident, but it looks like it's not going to be that big of a deal. This little tab, or this little plastic piece, came off of the main trim piece that actually holds this little connector bracket thing in place and on the side. So I'm just gonna like shoot some super glue in here when we put it back, and just hope that it holds. We'll see how that works. Now, the next step is really simple, and it's actually the most important step, and that is the prep work. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be first cleaning off the grille with soap and water. We're then gonna sand it down, and then we're gonna do a final little wipe with alcohol just to make sure everything is clean and there's nothing left on there, no residue, so that way when we then go back and put the tape on to cover up the letters, we can ensure that we have a nice clean finish. And then after we tape off everything, it's just a matter of spray painting. All right, so we have both of the pieces pretty much cleaned and drying off, because I did have to spray them with water. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're just going to do a light wet sanding with some high grit sandpaper, so that way we can scuff up the edges, which will allow paint to adhere to different spots. So I have some 600 grit sandpaper here just kind of lying around, and I'm just going to go around and quickly scuff up all these surfaces here. Oop, a lot of water. All right, that's it for the bezel. Now we're going to do the same thing for this little hood trim piece. All right, and when you are done, they should look all kind of smoky and cloudy because you just scuffed them all up. So now we're just going to take a paper towel and kind of just wipe down each of the piece, and then we're going to go back with a microfiber and some alcohol to get up all of the nasty residue. I'm going to go ahead and mask off the Toyota letters here. I'm going to keep those silver, and then we're going to paint the bezel because I want the name to kind of pop in to give it that kind of classic look. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this blue painter's tape and we're just going to stretch it out over the letters, making a few passes and making sure that everything is nice and covered, and then we'll take an X-Acto knife and trim up the excess. All right, so is it perfect? No. Does it look great? No, but we've got all of the silver pieces covered, and then I went back with a couple other pieces and making sure that the silver is not going to be exposed. So that way when we spray it, because we are spraying it black, some of this black that's exposed will be fine getting hit, but we don't want to get that silver. So that's why we taped it. All right, now it is time for our alcohol, clean microfiber, and our gloves to wipe down all the pieces to make sure there's no grime or grit or anything here. All right, so here's the paint I'm going to be using. It is a Rust-Oleum kind of universal paint. It's going to be satin black, and the cool thing about it is it's got that fun little nozzle, and also it says it's paint and primer, good for wood, metal, plastic, and masonry. So we have a couple plastic trim pieces here. They don't need this doesn't need to be like high heat or anything because it's going to be on the outside of the car, not really inside. So we're hoping that it's going to last for a while, but I'm going to shake these up. They've been sitting for a really long time. So we'll get these shaken up and then start paint. All right, so I'm in a well-ventilated area. I probably should have a mask, but I can't find it, so I'll just do one of these old school style. And got gloves on, got eye protection, so one light coat, and then I'll go back and do another light coat. I'm not worried about overspray because they're going to be the same color. So here we go. All right, that's one coat, and let's look at the crappy job that I did. So this thing is like super spitting splotches out everywhere. So I hope that it maybe it kind of, the splotch is dry and it doesn't look terrible, and the more coats that I put on it, the better. So I'm gonna give that about a minute or two to dry, and then I'm just gonna kind of probably off camera just keep going on and on and on again, because this is kind of boring just watching somebody spray paint. All right, so it is next morning, and we just kind of let these things dry overnight. They don't look too bad. It looks like you can kind of see a little spotting there. I ended up hitting it with a ton of coats because those little spray nozzles are not the best. It's one of these little type of things, and what I noticed is every time I was spraying, it would go and it would like spit out a little bit first. We'll try to keep it PG. And what that would do is it would hit and leave like little splattery marks, and that's not obviously the look that we were wanting to go for. So all that's left now to do is hit it with the clear coat on both pieces. But before I do that, I have that one little minor touch that I want to show you real quick on what we're going to do to make this a little bit more custom. All right, so here is the trim piece, and originally what I wanted to do is I wanted to add those retro stripes into the little false grill there, but I have this little grill badge that all I would need to do is just drill a couple holes in these little vents and then mount that on the inside, and it would fit kind of perfectly right in there. Now before I go any further with modifying that badge, I'm going to go ahead and lay down a few coats of clear coat on the trim piece and on that front little bumper bezel thing, so that way those can be drying as I'm modifying that little badge and shortening those screws. I'm going to get my pencil out, mark a couple spots of where I'm going to drill, and I'm going to drill 2 holes that are big enough for these little screws, and then see if I can get it to fit back in there. And I might have to cut off the length on some of these because they are a little bit long. All right, I'm definitely not one to brag unless I need to brag. So that's pretty perfect right there. So I'm gonna squirt some Loctite in there and make sure those dudes don't go anywhere ever. All right, so before we button everything back up, we have to add all the little hooks and screws and trim pieces and all the things back, especially these little attachment things on the side. I don't even know what you call them. I've gone ahead though and installed this one. It's just a matter of screwing down this bolt, and it kind of fits into a slot that's under here. But if you remember, we broke one on this side. So essentially what has to happen is this little T-bolt has to fit into a little groove, and it's not there anymore. So I'm gonna get some double-sided sticky tape and put it down right there. and then attach it to the T-bolt, and then maybe put a little bit more pieces around here on parts where it'll hit flush, and hopefully that'll hold it in place. Boom, and just like that, stuck back into place. All right, so this part is super fun, lining up the holes with where the clips are gonna go, and just making sure and seeing if you got them kind of in the correct spots. And hopefully we do. It just becomes a matter of pushing and popping it into place. So let me get a towel real quick. All right, so let's push this and see if we can get it into place. And my dog's barking. Oh, this one's a little rough. Oh, and seems to be like all these are in. Now we just need to screw them back into place. All right, so now I'm just going to kind of go through and hand tighten these little nuts back onto each of the screws. Now I was missing one, so I figured that I'll just leave one out where it was out before, right there, so that'll be nice. But maybe I can find a nut or something to fit it. So I'm just going to hand tighten all these down, and then I'm going to come back with the 10mm socket wrench and snug them all up. Good. All right, we're good. All right, so we've wired up the Raptor lights back, and now it's time to just kind of push the grill into place, making sure wires are kind of tucked in and out of the way of stuff. This bug don't get away from me. Boom. 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 Now we got our screws to go back in. And the last thing is 2 clips, which I had to get new ones. So here's the ones that I got. I just got these from O'Reilly, I think, or Advanced Auto Parts, somewhere like that. They are those plunger style, where you push it in and then push the pin down and it holds it in. So I guess we will see. I guess that went in. That kind of hurt a little bit. Here we go. Snug as a bug in a rug. All kinds of yummy fingerprints. All right, there's only one thing left to do. Peel back the tape. With my luck, there's probably some leakage somewhere. I tried to do a good job, but you know, this job isn't going to be perfect. Nothing I do is going to be perfect because I'm not a professional. I'm just kind of, but I'm doing it by myself, showing you how you can do it. And again, this is all for me and my adventure. I thought it was about to be one of those satisfying moments where it all comes off at once, which was not the case. Yeah. All right, the big reveal. Let's drop the hood and let's see what the whole thing looks like. Boom. Man, she is looking tough. Yeah, I kind of like the badge up there. It's a little different. Sometimes you see it in the grill, but that just kind of sets it apart. There's still some clear coat splotching right there, and hopefully that'll kind of, it's just wet, it just needs to dry. But I like the black. It's looking pretty sharp, y'all. Now, old Bessie's still got a lot of work that we need to do to her. Look at that hood. God, that's terrible. We got to get to that very soon. Also, we got to take care of these little silver side markers, and also this front little bull bar area. I want to kind of change some things up. And when I had the grill off, I noticed there was some room for some activities. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like if you like this video, and do all those other things. And hey, thank you so much for coming along with me and rigging my ride for my adventure, one mod at a time.